think this is probably the best movie of the year. Sad fact is, and we all know why, it won't be considered at the Oscars because Jim Caviezel being Catholic and it drawing attention to something that, by and large, Hollywood elites are compromised by too. Okay, and I'm not talking about Kojak. He wants my attention. I'm not talking about Steven Spielberg. I'm not talking about Tom Hanks. I know that the conservative movement tends to like to paint those two as bad, but no, there are people in Hollywood that names you don't know, or names that you do know but in passing, that are definitely probably, I would say just by their lifestyle, could be considered maybe pedos. Okay. A certain actress's boyfriend who came out of the closet when she got pregnant. All right. Who is now the head of a major management company. The brother of a former congressman, a former Chicago mayor. A partner to a very famous, well-known movie director, but there are conservatives out there who would claim that the movie director is part of it too because you're guilty by association, okay, which is bullshit, okay. There are people in Hollywood whose computers I think if the FBI was doing their job would love to look at, okay. Now, I'll give you the name of a reporter. I'm gonna look it up again. Damn it. Reporter killed in car explosion. 405. Because I want to get his name because I can never remember it. Okay. All right. No, man struck. No. Investigative journalist. Because this guy is integral to what I'm talking about. His name is Michael Hastings. No, it wasn't. Traffic collision. It was before, this happened before, Andrew Breitbart died. All right, I'm not gonna find it. This guy, I can't remember what his name was, but he was a lefty. But he got a hold of something that he said he didn't know what to do with. It was a huge issue. Maybe I can find it on Google. And he didn't know what to do with it. And he said he was afraid for his life. Okay. It was before Andrew Breitbart died, maybe 6 months. Try 2012. 2011. No, 2012 first. See, I use Bing, and I probably shouldn't do that. I can't find it. I don't understand why, but it's like shit like this will end up being put in the dustpan of history because they don't want you to hear about it. So what did this guy find out? What did this guy find out? Was it the same thing that Andrew Breitbart had? That he said, I don't know what to do. He said basically the same thing. I'm trying to figure out a way to disseminate this. Hi, Kojak. Yeah, you dropped your ball rolled under the thing, didn't it? Hey, Bone. I believe it was about a Hollywood elite child trafficking pedophile ring, and that's what I think it was about. And there you go. This shit has been going on for a long, long time. Journalist, investigative journalist, let's put that in. All right, I'm going to read this in. Investigative journalist killed California on the 405 in 2011. See what happens. See what Google finds out. Come on. All right. It wasn't Michael Hastings. I can't believe this. Anyway, okay, this is really one of those things. So we lose one journalist who's a very outspoken guy. If I've got any blue checks that are in the chat that want to dig around, poke around, and see if they can find his name, it was before Andrew Breitbart died, and I want to say it was Michael Hastings, but Breitbart died in 2012, and Michael Hastings was, I think, murdered in 2013. Maybe I have the timeline wrong, that Breitbart got the information before Hastings did, but I think they both had the same information. Why do I believe and I'll tell you, the reason why Disney tried to shake hand Sound of Freedom, they have to do business with these people. Look, I'll give you an example. Here you go. Anybody put a one in the chat if you remember a TV show that came out before the election. It was written and directed by Cyrus Nowastra, called The Path to 9/11. Harvey Keitel was in it. Patty Heaton was in it. Danny Wahlberg was in it. All right. It's basically the true story of how fucked up we were during the Clinton administration mostly, okay? When you've got a sniper with the crosshairs on Osama bin Laden's head, and Sandy Berger can't be bothered to bother the President of the United States on the fucking golf course with his fat fuck brother-in-law to give the okay to slam the door, you got a problem, okay? Look, our problem with bin Laden started during the Gulf War, okay? Bin Laden was already in Afghanistan fighting the Russians. And then he saw that the United States was going to defend Saudi Arabia from Saddam Hussein, and got pissed off because they were infidels on the Promised Land or some shit like that. Anyway, we lost the Khobar Towers. That was Al-Qaeda. What happened in Mogadishu, 19 servicemen killed, and again, Sandy Berger and Bill Clinton could not be bothered to call in General Grissom's needed little birds and spooky gunships. Couldn't be bothered. No. This isn't a big deal. All right. And it got worse, and it got worse. And then one day we woke up and some asshole floated a. Oh, was it Hastings? So, all right. If I think you're right then. Okay, so it was Michael Hastings. He must have got the same information that Andrew did. Now look, I'm not going to say Andrew Breitbart was assassinated, but before he strangely died, he had his hands on something that was electrifying. That was basically radioactive. Okay, and he goes out to dinner, walks out of the restaurant, his face turns red and he croaks. What the fuck? Was he poisoned? What was going on? Michael Hastings. I just got my hand on on a story. I don't know what to do with it. I'm scared to death of it. And his car explodes. What was it? Look, Andrew Breitbart was connected to Hollywood. He was the one that brought down Anthony Weiner. He was the one that helped James O'Keefe take down Acorn. Okay. Breitbart, when he was alive, probably did more to create transparency in the U.S. government and our elites than anybody. And if he had gotten his hands onto pedophile tapes of David Geffen, Brian Lord, and his boyfriend with illegit people in a bad situation, I'm talking to Mazers. Would you believe it? Look, Oprah Winfrey in her little school in South Africa that's black girls only, by the way, gets called out for hiring groomers at the school. And it was called out twice for sexual assault on teachers. And house, the people that they're like the heads of the houses and everything. She was called out for providing Harvey Weinstein with young women. Okay, we've got Hunter Biden with really disgusting pictures of underage people on his laptop, including Malia Obama. Why would it shock anybody? Now, why am I bringing up mostly gay men? Because they're the first people you think of. And why wouldn't they throw somebody weird and eccentric like Michael Jackson under the bus? Here's a shiny object, look at this, he's a pedophile, when they're the ones that are the problem. Okay? I want you to think of it that way. Okay? Look at Bryan Singer. Okay? Bryan Singer, I used to know a guy who, all right, this guy, I'm not going to tell you what his name is, but Dan will know him when I describe him. Screenwriter, very bitter, outside of Hollywood because he put himself out there outside of Hollywood, and very angry at Bryan Singer. Swore up and down that former Catholic priest Jonathan Morris was gay when 3 years ago Jonathan Morris left the priesthood and married a girl from a Latina from somewhere in South America. Maybe she's Puerto Rican, and now he has like 75 children. Okay, that's really gay, Michael. The fuck? Okay, I literally, I look at that, and I think a lot of people. Oh look, I don't smoke, fuckers. See that? That was when I was 19 years old and I almost died of pneumonia. But you, wanderer, can go start a you-know-what, okay? Fuck you. That's how you get kicked off of the Smuggler's Cantina. You attack my voice. Okay? And that's the way it goes. Okay, this guy probably has 75 different fake names, so he'll be back. Okay, anyway, he's just trolling just to get me off balance because he doesn't have anything else to do, and he's probably maybe he's a fat pedo. All right, let me describe the movie. Jim Caviezel plays this is a true story, by the way. A guy who is an agent for Homeland Security, and I begged Asa Hutchinson to work for him because back in the day because I couldn't stand my boss, and I'd only been there 2 months and I already was like trying to dig myself out of getting away from that place, and I couldn't. But if I had it, I'd been at Homeland Security for at least a year. Anyway, and this guy goes out and he's a federal officer and he basically tracks child trafficking rings. And he comes across a little boy and he saves the kid and then discovers the kid has a sister. There are a couple of great lines in it. Hey, Dave, keep your eyes open for trolls. I got mocked for my voice again by probably either Alora or one of Pro's buddies. Oh, yeah, happy birthday, Maze. So anyway, just keep your eyes open for trolls. Anyway, what is what happens is he goes on an odyssey and takes on an entire network. But the girl that he's looking for, the kid's sister, is not there. So they find out that she was sold to really, really. Let me explain South America. It's a shithole. Okay. I've never seen, when you start looking at like the history of the South American states, the illegitimate government slash basically dysfunctional government is alive and well. There are parts of Colombia that the army and the police forces won't go. Bad guy who bought the kid is there. Ballard apparently went by himself most of the way, met the guy face to face, rescued the girl, and this is a role that 30 years ago Harrison Ford would have played, because it's one of those, the Boy Scout. Tim Ballard is a Boy Scout, and Mormons grow up that way. But Jim Caviezel, being Catholic, kind of, he did a really good job. This is I think one of the best acting performance of the year. The only time he did a better job was when he played the other JC, that guy up there. Okay, and he kills the guy. He gets into a fight with the guy and kills him. Okay, and gets the girl out and they get her back to her dad, and that's it. But it draws attention to the 2 million children trafficked a year to sick perverts. And it's not just these, douchebag warlords that hang out in their little fiefdom in shithole Colombia. No. How about douchebag millionaires that show up in Cartagena wanting some action? So, and some of these kids end up in Moscow, some in Berlin, some in London, some in and some in LA. Okay, so you wonder why I'm connecting Hollywood and this. Disney, like with the Path to 9/11, when they bought 20th Century Fox, shelved it. Angel Studios was able to liberate it, and they got it out there. They have a pay it forward program to get as many people as they can to go see it. Caviezel has a message at the end about what this is about. And despite what the assholes in Hollywood at the Hollywood Reporter, they're just doing what the elite pedophiles in Hollywood are telling them to. It is not a scam. Okay. For an afternoon matinee on a Wednesday, there were, I would say, for the theater it was showing in, it was mostly full. Okay. Okay. It was mostly full. Okay. All right. And all those people paid their own tickets. All right. I saw a few of them do it. I paid my own. This is a show that has to be watched. Okay, then you ask yourself, so why are they attacking it? Well, first off, Jim Caviezel was blackballed by Hollywood. He even said, Mel Gibson said, if you take the role of JC, you will be canceled, blackballed. They're going to blacklist you. And he said, I don't care, I'm going to do it. Okay, so he doesn't care. What sucks is that we have this problem, and let me explain something. Slavery at this point in world history, there's more slavery going on than there was any time in the history of the world, including before the Civil War. Okay, true. Okay, slavery all over Africa. There's slavery in Saudi Arabia. There's slavery in China. Okay, you name it. There's slavery here in the United States. All right. Would you want to go look in Brian Lord's basement? Would you? Do you want to look on his computer, maybe his friend's computer? You know, this is why they didn't want the movie seen, is because people are going to start looking around. They already get people who don't know shit about movies who are just angry because Hollywood, all those liberals, just think all of them are pedophiles, and they're not. Okay, the people who don't talk about it are probably afraid for their lives. Okay. You know, they're afraid for their lives. Okay. And you know, if Nicole Kidman came out and said something about it, they're all aware of it. Mel Gibson was very aware of it. He was like, I'm not interested. But what they do is they get you into a situation where you will have blackmail. Okay, Harvey Weinstein did that. Jeffrey Epstein did that. Okay, and that's, you know, now they can just upload, you know, that shit onto your computer and you're screwed. Okay, and there could be footprints all over the computer, and even if it comes out that the computer was compromised by somebody who put those files on there, you're never gonna live that down. You're never gonna live that down, because there's always gonna be people like, name the conservative that you know that hasn't been to a movie for 20 years. Those are the people who would do that. And exactly right. And the director was murdered for it, Peter. Okay, he was probably murdered, just like Andrew Breitbart. I never thought about it until we started hearing more about this shit going down in Hollywood, and then I thought, oh, okay. Well, Oprah would say it's QAnon. That's how they're smearing Jim Caviezel with it. Okay, it's like, why are you saying that? Because your editor said that? For you to say that? Okay, who told your editor? And then you start looking at Ari Emanuel, Brian Lord, David Geffen, Oprah, you know, the people's names we don't know that have tons of money, they're in that group. And you go, oh, okay. I mean, there was an abortion mill they discovered back in the 70s in Ohio It was, I don't know how, but the house got up for sale or it was condemned or something, and they went in and found a shrine to Moloch. Who was Moloch? Moloch um, was the demon. He's a demon and a god to ancient, the ancient peoples of Palestine, that they would take newborn babies and set them on fire in his arms like that. All right. And sacrifice the babies to Moloch. Okay. And oh yeah, look, it's an elite issue. It goes from LA and San Francisco to New York, Washington D.C. When they show at the end Ballard testifying in front of the Senate, like that would do anything. Lindsey Graham sitting there, I'm like, now why would Lindsey Graham be such a hawk? Why is he such a squish, spineless little turd? Think about it, okay? There are great scenes in it when he says, this is one of my favorite quotes from the Bible, and he says to the first pedo that you meet, the guy that is cataloging children for these weirdos. Okay. It's Luke 17:2. He says, let me find. He says, it would be better for them to be thrown into the sea with the millstone tied around their necks than to cause one of these little ones to stumble or to hurt one of these little ones. And then he says, you're under arrest. And I gotta say, at that point, I was like, because there's something about Caviezel, because he has such conviction of his faith, that the Holy Spirit was just there. Okay, yes, I'm Catholic, so I'm going to say that. You see that part, and you'll catch your breath. Okay? And, when he takes on the bad guy at the end, you don't see the fight. You see, she passes out, and she's closing her eyes and not really watching because she's scared to death. And he kills the guy, but it's not like, you see John Wayne rise up standing behind this little shit, or Clint Eastwood, or Sylvester Stallone. It is more of a fight like, think of it, Patriot Games. All right, it's more of an actual real fight. This isn't some sort of action movie. This is a real guy getting into a fight with an asshole, and you don't know who's gonna win. Yeah, it's realistic, which is, the thing about Harrison Ford is he was always playing like a normal dude even Indy. Indy's not Superman. Indy gets into a fight with somebody and he comes out, almost as badly beaten as the guy he beat the shit out of. Okay, it's just, and that's what happens. It's real. Okay, so that's another reason why I like this movie, but it brings out a lot of what is going on that is evil in the world, that people are very uncomfortable to talk about, that they will not say anything about in Hollywood, even though they know I named people I suspect of it, and I don't care if they're homosexual or not. The fact of the matter is, when you see Bryan Singer thrown under the bus, why isn't anybody looking at them going, really? Really? David? Really? Bryan? You know, it's one of those things where, like, a friend of mine told me about parties where only young men were invited. So you have a bunch of old, creepy guys and a bunch of young men, mostly underage, hanging around drinking. Okay, and a lot of them do the same thing with little girls. So, what is going on here? Again, it is not to say that people in Hollywood, like Mark Hamill, don't know what happens. They just don't want to wake up with someone waving a gun in their face or start their car and it blows up. That's why they keep their mouth shut. Okay, it's a very, very, very exclusive, tight club, and if you get compromised by them, they have you by the balls the rest of your life. Yep, yep, and you're right. You're right on that. And it's very. This movie made my eyes opened because you're looking at people in Congress that have been there for decades. Lindsey Graham. He's the first one I think of. Chuck Schumer. You know, you go down the list. Who is that douchebag? Senator from New Jersey, the guy that was called out for trying to mac on a guy in a bathroom with his girlfriend outside the door. Let's see, I'll find it. That guy. You know, I mean, there are rumors about. Oh yeah, I know they do get because they have people that will do it on their payroll. Is it the Mossad? No, no. Now, I saw where, and this is where conservative anti-Semitism comes in, because we do have conservatives who are anti-Semitic, who are saying both Ehud Barak of the Liberal Party and Bibi Netanyahu visited Epstein's Island. No, they didn't. All right, you're just, look, there are people out there that, I mean, that want to attack the Catholic Church with this. They want to attack Israel with this. And it's like, no, no. This is bigger than a nation. This is, look at the look at the WEF. Look at Klaus Schwab. You don't think he's part of that? What about George Soros? You don't think he's part of it? You know, you got to start thinking outside the box. We're dealing with, all right, you remember the James Bond novels that Ian Fleming wrote? Spectre? Think of an organization like that, all right? They have no nation. They're not a nation state, but they control governments, okay? Which is why the United States government would not continue that joint effort with Colombia to shut down their child trafficking. Why? There you go. Think about it. Why wouldn't they? I mean, Hillary Clinton visited Epstein's Island. All right, Bill did at least 6 times. Yuck. Okay. You know, it's unfathomable to me that we can't have a discussion about this in the open because the wrong people have control of media. Peter, there isn't any bad info in this movie. I don't know you even know what you're talking about. Okay, I really don't know what you're talking about, so whatever. You know, again, Michael Jackson, the shiny object. Bryan Singer, a patsy. Yeah, he was doing shit like that. But why are you going after him? He's a little fish. Go after these guys. All right. And again, if it is found out that people whose names we know in Hollywood were a part of this, and if I see anybody say Steven Spielberg, and look, when I hear conservatives say shit like that, I go, you're only saying that because he's a Democrat. Okay, that's it. Michael McGruther would say that. I'm like, where's your proof? Well, I heard. I don't care. Hearsay evidence is not allowed in court. Okay, all right. Tom Hanks. He was accused by a crazy woman of things he likely didn't do. Look, his wife Rita would kill him. All right, she would not. She wouldn't put up with that shit. She's Greek. Okay, so that comes with a temper, right? You gotta look at the reality. Those guys are not gonna say anything. They know. They're not gonna say anything, even if they do know, because they're worried they're going to die. Okay. And if the FBI was run the way it should be run, you could probably get a whistleblower, hide them, and get them to testify in sealed grand jury about what's going on with evidence, and get these people out of there. Get these people off the streets. Okay. It's not enough to take down a ring with, a bunch of millionaires who want to go down to Colombia and party. I mean, that, whatever. It's not enough to do that. There are bigger fish. And the bigger fish are what we should be looking at. Now, Mel Gibson is doing a 4-part documentary on it. And, I think about him and just go, Mel, you got to take care of yourself. You've got to watch your back. Now, do I think he carries? Yes, I do. Caviezel carries. He talked to one of the YouTubers I watch, and he carries a Glock 42. All right, he even said so. And so when you see him handling a gun in the movie, he's done it before. Does Mel Gibson carry? Probably. But watch where you park your car. Park your car in the garage at night. Have cameras everywhere. Have a dog like Kojak who's probably trained to kill people. Have an alarm that you control that will call the police, but one they can't turn off by taking the power out. And have cameras on different systems. So no matter what, you will always get people on the screen. Okay, that's how you do it. All right, that's how it's done. I am. This movie won't give me nightmares, but it fired me up. And I want to talk a little bit about Barbie. Barbie is satire. It's a really well-written satire, so the people who only watch it for surface stuff won't understand it. And I walked out going, I need to think about it. But when at the end, when she starts seeing what she really wants is to be a mom, the message is none of these women, the president, the doctor, the post lady, the astronauts, are perfect. Okay. Every little girl that bought those dolls, because what's going on is all those dolls are actually owned by real little girls. So they're basically living the little girl's imagination. Okay. And the person who owns Barbie starts having a kind of a mental, or I'll say an emotional breakdown. And she is thinking about what's it about and death and everything. That's how the shit starts. So Barbie, after she talks with the ghost of Ruth Handler, the inventor of Barbie and played by Rhea Perlman, says, close your eyes and think about what you really want to be. And she wants to be a mom. She wants to be a mom. And it's really great at the end, I think, because it kind of shows what women really want in their lives is to have children and to be moms and to not um, uh, and to not be put off by it, because the daughter in the show is the one who goes, ew, being a mom, ew. You know, because that's the way girls are raised. Okay. At the beginning, you see the little girls taking their baby dolls and smashing them. Okay. It's true. All right. At the end, Barbie's dreaming of motherhood from playing with a baby doll to doing all this stuff, and then to being what, a Nona, dancing around in Italy somewhere. I mean, a grandmother. And that is a far more powerful image than Kamala Harris or Hillary Clinton. You would, as a woman, you would rather be defined as being a good mom who raised good kids than anything else, because anything else won't last. All right. You will not be talked about after your death in the way a good mother would be, in a way a mother would be. Okay. And that's honestly what it's about. Now, who is Mark Maron? This just came over. All right. I don't know who Mark Maron is, but he's attacking men for being pissed off about the way men are portrayed in Barbie. I'm like, I don't know who you're talking about. Some are, some aren't. Some don't get the jokes, some do. Calm the fuck down, you left-wing liberal pissant. Okay, whatever. The jokes didn't bother me because I knew what was going on there. Okay, they were funny. Okay, in fact, I'm looking around and I'm like, I'd rather live in Kendom. Kendom was cool. Okay, Kendom was awesome. And by the way, why did the girls all look happier? Like fulfilled. Think about it. All right. All right. I mean, look, I'll give you an example. When I worked in DC and I had my career and all that shit, Rudy was in Bahrain, so I didn't go home. I went home to an empty apartment. You know, you talk to your friends on the phone or you go meet them out for a drink and then drive home. Nobody there. And it's like, that's not fulfilling. Your career is not going to make you happy. You know, I have more fulfillment watering my garden than listening to some person in a congressional district crying to me about something I can't do anything about. You know, trying to get them help, realizing that even if they did get help, they won't be grateful. Okay, trying to pay my car payment, insurance, all right, for cars, rent. You know, that stuff is difficult. Okay, when it's all on you and you're expected to look beautiful and everything like that, it's tough. Okay, so when I see, you know, this girls can be whatever they want, she can be president, and you have Will Ferrell at the end going, I hate this fucking job. I hate having to, I'm the CEO and I hate it. Guarantee you, there were times when Donald Trump went into the bedroom and stood there looking at Melania and saying, why the fuck did I do this to myself? You know, or George W. Bush saying, Laura, what did I do this for? You know, because you go through shit because other people are shit, okay? And you don't want to deal with other people's shit. And when you're in the head of a company like Mattel or Disney, you deal with other people's shit. Whether it's Nelson Peltz screaming at you, whether it's, you know, Kathy Kennedy doing this, you can't fire me, nah, 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 nah. You know, or Tondra Newton walking in and demanding whatever the fuck she demanded that got herself fired. Would you want that job? Or would you want to wake up, make a cup of coffee, read the newspaper, take the dog outside, get your kids breakfast, and drive them off to school, then come home, do a little cleanup, turn on the news, maybe do laundry, go out and run errands? What would you rather do? And that's tough too, because again, you're dealing with other people's shit. But these are people you chose to be with: your husband, your kids, your neighborhood. It's not someone who you can't stand to look at from across the dinner table. Like, I'm pretty sure that Bob Iger can't stand looking at Kathleen Kennedy. Would you want to sit across from a dinner table from her? No. Okay. Oppenheimer. Now, while I think that Jim Caviezel actually did a better job, that is relative. Okay, that is relative. And fact of the matter is that Cillian Murphy will probably win the Oscar. And by it, look, I would do a tie. Okay, so everyone's happy. Murphy gets one, Caviezel gets one. We're all happy. Robert Downey Jr. gets one for playing Louis Strauss. America Ferrera gets one for her role in Barbie. Margot Robbie gets one for Barbie. Okay. That is, what I would do. But Oppenheimer is a historical biography. And Christopher Nolan did not make him look like a hero, because he wasn't. He was a dickhead. Okay. What did Pappy Boyington say? Show me a hero and I'll show you a bum. Okay. Greg Boyington, Black Sheep Squadron, World War II. You guys know who I'm talking about. He was right. It's very interesting to me when you're looking at these three movies and how different they are and trying to decide which is best. To me, it's going to be hands on, hands down, The Sound of Freedom, because what it's about. All right. Oppenheimer, I think, is actually the better movie than Barbie, strictly because of what it's about. It's basically about a guy who stuck his nose where it didn't belong. A hubris-filled man with who is as weak as, who had the tensile strength of a piece of worn out of a worn out thread, as far as like his self-control over women, who stuck his nose in a place only God treads, and that is the things we can't see, the invisible world. Okay. And when you think about the power of a star, the hydrogen and what's going on, those are billions and billions of nuclear reactions going on all the time. Why should humanity have control of something like that? That's what it's about. And when he realized that he had given Harry Truman the ability to destroy a small city, two small cities, and how proud Truman was of it, and that he had a protege who created, or whose idea was the hydrogen bomb, which is a lot bigger than Fat Man or Little Boy ever were. Again, these are people with a lot of hubris who are toying around with God. Okay. And it's like, do you know what you're doing? Do you know what, where you're like treading? This is the invisible world of atoms and molecules and things should not be looking at. Okay, we're not mature enough as a species, and never will be, by the way, to deal with that because we aren't God. Okay, never will be. And that's what I think Oppenheimer's about. I say that through the lens of my Catholic faith. But, think about a little kid discovering, daddy's 45 in the sock drawer. It's loaded. That's what it is. And it's like, because we're the little kid with the nuclear bomb, with the hydrogen bomb. All right. What else is going on? Let's see. I do believe that Disney will sell ESPN, which is why, those two guys. What are their names again? I'm so bad with names, everybody. No, that's not it. I can't think of their names, so I'm not going to look it up. No, we don't understand the world that the bottle that we opened up. We don't. That again, that's God's realm. It's what He does. But Iger bringing back two of his proteges pretty much tells me that they're going to sell ESPN because that's why they're back. The stuff going on at Lucasfilm. I think we're probably going to get word one of these days about the Rey movie being shelved, never to be seen again. Sadly, the Mangold movie being shelved. And it's actually a good idea. And the Acolyte being shelved. Look, they want stuff that'll sell. So I'm going to tell you something. Do not go to the Black Pill channels. I could put a master list together of channels not to watch. And listen to what they have to say about Ahsoka. Okay? Ahsoka's probably going to be really, really good. So watch it. Don't listen. Look, I'm going to tell you something. I saw Solo. I watched it. It sucks, but I can say it sucks. I watched every episode of Andor and gagged the entire way through. If they left Andor out of it, they left the lesbos out of it and did a show about, hey, Jack, hi, Ira. And thanks for the compliments, Ira. If they'd have just talked about Stellan Skarsgård's character, I'd have been very happy. But they didn't. Why? Why would they? Think about it. Okay, well, we're talking about something that Kathy Kennedy did have her hands on. And what I hate is that the motherfuckers who hate her guts like this show, and it was her show. It was her show. All right. Andor did not belong to Favreau. Dave Filoni wasn't part of it. Think about it. Okay. But as far as Sound of Freedom goes, go see it. It is not QAnon propaganda. When people say that, I just look at them and go, who told your editors to have you say that? Which Hollywood elite asshole, which person in the U.S. government? Why would you not report the truth? They're afraid to. Because look, it comes out that these people are doing this. They know their entire world would burn down. I mean, they would be chased like Frankenstein's in his castle. Okay, pitchforks and torches. All right, anyway, I gotta go. I gotta let the dog out, water the garden, and probably cut a bunch of lettuce for the neighbors. So I'll see you guys in the around the galaxy. And yes, Mandoverse does have huge potential in Star Wars. See you guys later.